Good evening. On behalf of my colleagues on the faculty and staff, on behalf of more than 250,000 Orange alumni, I welcome all of you to Syracuse University. I will be followed in this welcome by Professor Jeffrey Mangrum of the Syracuse University School of Education. Professor Mangrum is a decorated teacher and scholar who is an expert on helping students succeed. He has worked hard to help lead the efforts of many at Syracuse to help you become Orange. In acknowledging Professor Mangrum, I would also like to acknowledge and thank the many faculty, staff, and students who will this fall be facilitating the shared reading of Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime. We have more than 400 students, faculty, and staff who have stepped up to this assignment and have been preparing all summer. I'd ask the faculty, staff, and students who've been involved in this great effort to wave or shout or stand or somehow call attention to yourself right now. They are here. We thank you. Incoming 2018 students, you've come here to be part of a great, engaged, thriving, diverse international research university. Syracuse is a lively and sprawling and dynamic and idiosyncratic place. It has a glorious, a complex history, a history in the sciences, in the arts, in the humanities, in the professions, in sports, in public affairs, in communications, in architecture, in education, in engineering, in law, in management, in information, and veterans, and in serving humanity. I welcome all of you, more than 5,000 new students to Syracuse, first-year students, transfer students, master's students, professional students, doctoral students. You come from all over this nation and this world, from every state, from Puerto Rico, from Guam, from the Virgin Islands, from the District of Columbia, from more than 70 nations on 6 continents, as well as more than a dozen Native American nations. Every single one of you equally belongs here. As far as all of us are concerned, you are all now forever Orange. You are going to hear a lot of speeches. You're going to hear a lot of speeches this week and this semester. Good people are going to directly tell you what you should be doing. I want to speak to you instead about other forms of communication. Let me explain. My first office job was in Washington, D.C. in 1975. My boss was a master at communication that not only included words but deeds. He was originally from China, and he somehow always paid attention to everyone in the place, even the youngest intern. He spoke to us even when he seemed to be addressing someone else or not speaking at all. For example, whenever he took a new employee around the office, my boss stopped to introduce every single person in the building. He carefully explained by name exactly why each employee was wonderful and was essential to the place. He appeared to be talking to the new employee, but both his words and his actions told each person, whether they were the janitor or the chief of staff, that they mattered, and my boss knew exactly why. Entering students of 2018, more than ever before, you will need to become masters of these broader forms of communication. That is because in this wonderful and kaleidoscopic university, in this world, there are always multiple audiences present every time you communicate. In 2018, every time you speak, every time you use social media, every time you write, there will be all kinds of witnesses, not just the person you directly address. And that means every single time is an opportunity to show who you are, what you value, and what you mean, not just through your words, but by how you relate to others, including friends, family, community, and the world. I want to quickly demonstrate this right now. Incoming 2018 students, there are at least 3 different audiences present right now. They are first you, the new students at Syracuse University. Second, they are the faculty and the staff and the upper-level student leaders of the university who are interspersed all around you. And third, they are your parents and family and loved ones who are either seated in the very hot upper decks or who are or will watch this ceremony through the internet. I am going to speak directly first to the veteran faculty, staff, and returning student leaders, the people who already know this university, and then I'm going to speak to your family and loved ones. I want you new students to listen not for what I'm directly saying to them, but for what I am communicating to you. So first, to the faculty, to the staff, my colleagues, and to the returning student leaders, I wear a tie whenever I am with students. Communications experts and consultants in the last year have urged me to lose the tie. They want me to look more approachable and in tune with what they call the I generation. They tell me that people will be less afraid to talk with me if I look more like them. So why do I wear a tie? I will tell you, my colleagues on the faculty and staff, returning student leaders, I do not wear a tie so I can look like a nerd who longs for the 1950s. Ties are very uncomfortable and they constantly get dirty. I wear a tie because when I first started teaching, I had a professor colleague who wore blue jeans and made clear in every way he was just like his students. He was their friend. And then one day, a student came to my office in tears. The student had told my professor colleague during that student's first semester of school that he too hoped to be a professor someday. And my colleague in blue jeans said to that student, who was the first in his family to go to college, he said to that student that as a friend, he just needed to understand that professors needed to be intellectuals, and this student was just not intellectual material. That day, in the presence of that student in tears, I made two resolutions. First, I resolved that I was going to help that student become a professor with every ounce of my being, or I was going to die trying. And second, I resolved I was always going to wear an uncomfortable tie when I was on duty with students. The tie would be my daily personal reminder that I have moral responsibilities to my students beyond friendship, that I have a responsibility to always believe in my students, to always believe in my students even when they may not believe in themselves. By the way, my colleagues here today who are teachers and student leaders, about that student who was not intellectual material. Today he holds an endowed chair as a full professor at a great private university that Syracuse is going to beat in basketball this season. Now, I want to turn to the upper decks, to the family, the parents, the loved ones, and to those of you watching this by other means. Congratulations on getting to this day. Boy, do I remember what this day feels like as a parent. My wife, who's an engineering professor here with us today, and I have many times dropped one of our kids off at college. Parents and loved ones, I had mixed feelings every time I delivered a kid to college. I was happy that my kid was starting at a great university. I was proud. I was checking out the residence hall and the roommate and the food and the course schedule. I was smiling on the outside, listening to a lot of speeches and advice. But inside I had a knot deep in my stomach. I wondered how I was going to adjust to having a piece of my soul, my kid, walking around a campus far away, beyond my ability to control or influence. My wife and my mother-in-law, my family and I had poured so much into each one of our children. Time and love and energy and worry and inspiration. It was a labor of love, but it sure was labor, and we got very used to it. It defined the best part of our lives. And then suddenly there I was in this vast auditorium, and some president in a robe was telling me to go home. I hated that president. He did not know my kid. He did not have a clue how much love and work and joy our whole family had poured into that kid to make attendance at a university possible. That president had not seen all the times that my kid had triumphed. That president had not seen all the times that my kid had struggled, had been sick, had been in trouble, or had been just plain infuriating. That president did not seem to understand that our family was not just dropping off our kid in some abrupt divorce. Instead, we were embracing a transition while our uniquely constituted family remained intact, including with our kid in college. Well, parents, family, loved ones, relax. Cross off that worry. We know how much you have poured into your entering student. At Syracuse University, we know that you want to continue to be there for your kid who is now an adult. We know you want to be there in different ways that match the tremendous achievement of starting off one of your own at a great university. We know that because so many of us have been right there ourselves as parents and family members. Okay, now turning directly to the incoming class of 2018. What was I trying to convey to you while I was speaking to the faculty, to the staff, to the returning student leaders? And what broader communication was I trying to convey to you when I was speaking to your family, parents, and loved ones? Maybe what you heard when I was speaking to the faculty and staff and returning students was this: they should wear a tie too. They should not wear jeans. They should all try to look like the current chancellor at Syracuse University. Wrong. People at Syracuse University are from all over the world. Each of us dresses and looks and communicates differently. Each of us has our own stories and our own reasons for how we present ourselves. I don't want people to look like me. Instead, what I was trying to tell you through the story of my student, I was trying to suggest that you don't know me because of how I look. You don't know my story. You don't even know why I wear a tie. Maybe, just maybe, everyone you meet here, including those who look or speak or learn differently than you, has their own story. And maybe no matter how different they look, they are here because they care about you. Please start out with that assumption. You will be amazed how often that is true here. Entering students, kind of what message was I trying to say to you when I was talking to your parents and family? Maybe you heard me saying that your family will now stop worrying about you now that you are with us in college at Syracuse. Fat chance. Trust me, they will all still worry. What I was trying to convey to you when I was speaking to your families was this: they sacrificed so much to get you here. That sacrifice is worth something. It is worth taking seriously this opportunity you have at a great university, and it is certainly worth, I say as a parent, a phone call or text message occasionally to tell them how they are doing. Please remember that at Syracuse, when you speak, when you write, when you communicate, all audiences matter, and all in our Orange community have much to contribute. Remember that actions can speak loudly, even if indirectly, and can be a force to lift all of us up. To all audiences who are here today, to all of us who are now Orange, I say this: today we will hear these incoming students recite the charge that Chancellor Erastus Haven gave to our university almost 150 years ago. It is a charge that helps define what it means to be Orange today as much as in 1871. As you participate in that charge, as that charge is accepted today, I want you to know that this university now belongs to these incoming students as much as to anyone else who is Orange. These students will ask things here and build things here and prove things here and leave things behind here that are unique and enduring. To help this happen is our greatest responsibility. Welcome to Syracuse. Go Orange.